Hey guys, what is going on? Carter here. Got another video for you. This is on the Grayman Dua. Now I've had one other version of this knife in the past. I used to have an all DLC coated version. This is the stonewashed blade, all titanium, stonewashed version right here. Really like this knife. It does somewhat fall into the Strider Emerson category of knives in that the coolness factor of this knife is kind of above and beyond the actual object itself. But we'll talk about that a little bit more. First, let's get down to some specifications with this knife. It is a smaller knife, less than 8.5 inches. Well, about 8.5 inches long overall, 3¼ inch blade. So not a huge knife. The weight on this is a very manageable, especially for all titanium, very manageable 5.2 ounces. Not too heavy, but it still gives you that tank-like feeling to this knife. This is the Grayman Sawtooth. You can see right there. And this is the latest version in CPM 20 CV. Now this is basically the Crucible equivalent to Bowler M390. So they have upgraded their steel and they have not upgraded their prices. This is the same price as the S30V version was. And I spoke to Sue, who is the co-owner of Grayman Knives, and she said that the newest run of Grayman Sawtooths to come out in the next month or two will also be CPM 20 CV instead of S30V. And hopefully there's not a price raise in that arena either. So we have a titanium frame lock here, basically a no frills knife. There's none of the fancy new stuff on this knife. It is a basic frame lock knife. There is no over travel. There is no bearing system. However, it does have a bushing system. So it is a very smooth knife and it has absolutely no play up or down, left or right. It is a stout little bugger. You can see it is perfectly centered, very well made. There is no play in the closed detent position. Nice little sound when you open it up. Now it took a long time to get this thing to break in. When I first got it, the lockup was super early, so much so that if you opened it very lightly, it would sometimes not completely lock up. But it took about a day and a half, 2 days of flicking it open, getting the stop pin to set in the titanium and also to set into the shouldered piece right here and kind of allow it to fit back further, as well as get the lock bar to kind of smooth out so that it engaged a little bit more. And now it is perfect. It is nice, early lockup, rock solid, no play, up, down, left or right, no stick, except for like a very small little pop you can hear right there, which I actually like. I like that little tiny bit of stick that lets you know that it fully engaged and is 100% locked in place. I also put a new edge on this. These used to come with a toothy edge, which a lot of people did not like. They now come with a fully sharpened standard type edge on these knives. However, I like to give it a little bit more of a uniform edge on my knives and kind of set my own degree, as well as hit this little shoulder piece a little bit better to make it look a little nicer and to give you a little bit more cutting, which is what I did to this knife, and it turned out really, really nice. Going back to the no frills themed, you can see a little discoloration on the blade. That is not rust. I'm assuming that it's probably a little heat treat scale that kind of got in there, went a little below the surface before it was ground out. Not a big deal. These are meant to be used. They're meant to be used hard, and they can take everything that you throw at it. This is the more carryable version of the knives that they offer. They have the oversized Sawtooth and then this more pocket-friendly Dua right here. One complaint I will give this knife is the lip on the pocket clip is not as big as I would like. In jeans, this is absolutely fine. It carries perfectly well. It goes right in the pocket, no problems. But if you're wearing like khakis or something a little bit thicker, it is a little bit harder to get in your jeans. Now this does not have an over travel. However, I've not found it to be an issue. The pocket clip somewhat acts as an over travel. You can see how it sits right in the middle of the line right there. And you can actually, if you try to over travel it, it stops right there. So you're not really going to have any issues with over travel or anything like that. This thing is designed very, very well. Tip up, right hand carry only though. So you lefties are out of luck with this knife. I have large hands. You can see how it fits in my hand quite well. Very usable, very utilitarian type design. This is not really a tactical knife. This is more of a utilitarian, hard use knife. That's a category I would put it in. Like I said before, it has a bushing system. They do not like you to take these apart. Of course, I did anyways. But the reason is it's a little, not really tricky to get back together, actually. I find it quite easy, but you do run the risk of pinching the washers because the tolerances are so tight in this knife. You know, you don't put the pivot through the washers like you would on a typical knife. You put the bushing on the pivot post, then you put a washer around that, you put the blade on, and then you put a washer around the minute amount of space that's left on that bushing. And if you don't do that correctly, you could possibly pinch that washer and bend it and kind of mess up your knife and stuff like that. You can see how well centered it is. Really, really nice. Just superbly done. The machining on this thing, I don't know who actually does the machining for Grayman, but it is outstanding. Their tolerances are absolutely tight. Everything is perfect. It doesn't have a lot of finishing done to it. There's not a lot of flourishes. They offer the DLC coating. They offer G10 in different colors, full titanium, but that's about it. There's not any crazy finishes on the blade. This is about it. Stonewash or DLC coated. The 20CV I've noticed appears to be a little bit shinier than the S30V. And I don't know if it's because it's a little bit harder, it doesn't take that stonewash quite as well, or if there's another reason for that. But I think it looks really, really nice. So, how much do these bad boys cost? Well, this is a 100% made in the US knife by an awesome mom and pop type operation, Mike and Sue. Super, super nice. If there's one reason I could say above all to buy from these guys is how amazingly nice these two people are. They will bend over backwards. They will do anything to make you happy. If you have any problems with your knives, they are quick to respond and get you taken care of. Everything they send out comes with a handwritten note. Thank you for buying our knife. I hope it serves you well. Really, really cool. Super fast responses. Mike does all the manufacturing arrangements and the sharpening. And then Sue handles all the emails and social media, and just amazing. Just really, really cool. Very rare to find people as nice and responsive as Mike and Sue. So very, very cool. So these retail full TI for, I believe, $290 right now. $290 shipped, I want to say. So, you know, it's nothing crazy. This is a full titanium knife, 20 CV steel. The materials scream expensive knife, but like I said, there's not a lot of finishes. There's not a lot of flourishes, but the fit. So the finish on the knife is nothing to write home about. Nothing fancy in the finish department. But the fit, as I mentioned, is could not be better. All the pieces fit together so amazingly well. The tolerances are super, super small. And the construction of this knife is amazing. These posts right here aren't free floating. They actually fit into pockets inside the titanium. These screws go right into the stainless steel standoffs right there, so there's nothing funky with screws going into titanium or sloppiness that's going to happen. Everything on these Grayman folders fit together with such great tight tolerances, and the engineering on the construction is absolutely outstanding. Fully shouldered stop pin right there, goes through both sides completely, and a nice shouldered right there that fits into the stop pin, so you don't have a flat piece of steel hitting that stop pin that's going to create like a divot, which is going to make your blade sit back farther, and it's going to change your lockup. Everything was thought of with these knives. So $290. What's something similar? Zero tolerance, 450. No, 900. Zero tolerance to 900. Similar construction, but you do get a little more of the fancy stuff. Ball bearing system, stainless steel insert. Yeah, that's about it. Everything else is about the same. Better steel on the Grayman Satu, or Dua, sorry. The Dua is also a little bit bigger, but it is, almost $100 more than the ZT. They're both US made knives. They're both quite similar, smaller size knives. You get a little bit more size with the Dua, better steel with the Dua. But like I said, Grayman knives are just such a cool company to get involved with. Mike and Sue are so freaking awesome. That I think you can't go wrong with these knives. And there's a reason why they're hard to get. They kind of do runs every so often, and you'll come across some that are for sale on the secondary market, but they are not all over the place. People are not dumping Grayman knives like you see a lot of other knives that are just seemingly up for sale all the time. There's a reason for that, and that is because the people that get them tend to love them. For one reason or another. They enjoy the company, they'd like to represent the company, and it's a great, well-made knife, especially if you are not one for all the latest and greatest fancy stuff, all the latest fads and things like that. If you just want a simple, well-made knife from an awesome company here in the US, definitely check out Grayman knives, the Dua or the Satu. I've got a Satu in the same configuration, and I'll probably do another video on that because I love it so much. Carried it today. Really cool. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, give me a comment. Let me know how you're doing. I want to hang out with you guys digitally on YouTube in the comments section. Sorry if I misspoke in this video. I apologize if I called this a Satu at some point. I have a tendency to do that. I don't even realize it. But all right, guys, I'll talk to you later. I'm out of here.